phase 2 has 3 mechanics pretty much. And those mechanics usually have like 2 parts, okay? Mirror Mirror is a little bit more straight to the point, but most of P2 is basically split in 2 parts for each mechanic, all right? So we're gonna go over the first half, we're gonna ask questions, and then we go over the second half, and then we ask questions, all right? And before we start talking about P2 as a whole, just because I saw like sometimes people talking about that on the chats and stuff, there are a couple of Mitsheets, right? There's these 3 Mitsheets. So just to make things very clear, FNBG is the standard for PF. So if you don't like to think, if you don't want to think too much about what you have to do, just open FNBG. You follow this by the book. It should work. Ideally, you don't want to follow stuff by the book and you want to learn and adapt to the situation, to the parties. But if that's not your strong suit, you can literally just follow this and be happy. If you want to use a little bit more of brain power, I suggest you use either NAUR, Mits, or FRU, okay? They are overall safer, especially for the healers, but for the tanks, you are stuck with FMBG, okay? Tanks, you are stuck with this unless you are doing a static. If you're doing PF or the event here, you are stuck with FNBG. For DPSs, it doesn't matter much. You can just use FNBG. But if you are a healer and you have the power of choice, if you want, my personal suggestion is to migrate towards FRU or NAUR room meets, all right? The only difference is that NAUR has some stuff in one spot instead of the other, and FRU does it opposite. But both are really good and overall are a lot safer, and you're gonna feel the impact on your PFs if you start learning that already, okay? That being said, let's all start. Yes, exactly. They are guidelines, not gospel. For example, I personally like a little bit more FRU, but even FRU, I don't follow by the book. I do a couple of things different that I believe that are better, all right? And you can have your own play style, whatever you think it works. So yeah, those are just guidelines. Now, let's go with P2. If you didn't wipe to the enrage in P1, or if you have a Picto and you exploded P1, you should be able to reach P2 very, very safely, all right? And the way I want to do this here, let me mute the entire game here. There you go. And the way you want to do this here is there's nothing here in the first 30 seconds, all right? So the first thing I want to tell you is my rule of thumb, if you are a DPS or even a tank or whatever, you see these stars here on the ground, this star shape here. If you want to preposition yourself, I like to suggest people to preposition your clock spot on these stars here already. It's gonna make sense later when you start talking about DD, but if you want to make your life easier, go to your clock spot here and literally just AFK there doing your rotation, okay? After 30 seconds, we're going to talk about tips and tricks about mits and healings later. Let's just focus on mechanics for now. When this cast ends, we're going to start with DD, right? And DD, like I said, has pretty much 2 moments. We're going to have these initial baits with the praise. We're going to have a cleave or a scythe here. We're going to have a bunch of shit happening. So let me just simplify this entire mechanic for you. Do you notice how at the start of the mechanic, you can see that there's only 2 puddles in the arena? There's one over here, and there's one over here. Let me make this bigger. There's one here, and one here. After a couple of seconds, the other puddles are going to spawn. But what matters initially is these 2 puddles here, okay? I'm going to explain as if you are part of group 2, but it's the same logic for group 1, okay? So for group 2, you want to be looking at the blue markers, 3 and C, and the yellow markers, 2 and B. If you're group 1, you're going to do the same thing, but on the other side. Group 1, purple and red, okay? But just for the sake of explanations, we're going to focus on group 2 here. We always are going to solve the mechanic on this side of the arena, and on this first moment, we're going to have to be either on our initial cardinal, or we're going to have to swap to the other color. So here, for example, I'm a sage, I'm a shield healer, and my clock spot is C. Because my clock spot is on the blue markers, if a flex is necessary, I'm not going to do the mechanic on C. I'm going to do the mechanic on 3. And I can literally ignore everything else. You don't have to look at the other side of the puddle. You don't have to look at the other people. You can solve this entire mechanic literally just looking at yourself being aligned on your initial cardinal or swapping to the side. On the same logic, if you are, for example, the Dark Knight here, and you start on B, you're gonna solve this mechanic always on B, or if a flex is necessary, on 2. You will never go to 3, you will never go to D, you're never gonna go to A. You're always gonna do this first part here, either on your cardinal or the other color. All right? If you notice, there is these prey markers on 4 people. You see? And it's role-based. So either the DPS are gonna get it, or the supports are gonna get it. 4 people are gonna have the prey, and 4 people are not gonna have the prey. And the way we wanna solve this mechanic is by paying attention to what the fuck she is casting. So you see how she's casting Scythe Kick here? If you don't like looking at the cast on the enemy list, another way that you can do this mechanic is literally just by listening to the audio cues or the chat bubble. For example, let me check here. See how she says cleave, and you can even see the chat bubble here. So it's up to you if you want to focus on the chat bubble or the sound cue, or if you want to look at your enemy list and see the cast. It's X kick or the other one that I forgot that I'm going to show you later on. If you know by name, Nova, or if anyone knows it, feel free, be my guest. But you can just check the enemy list. For now, let's go here. The way we want to solve this mechanic in a very simple and straightforward way is like this. Let's take, for example, here I'm on C. I will either have the prey or I will not have the prey, right? If you are the prey, if you have the ball, if you have the circle, you will always be either to the right of this or to the left of the puddle. There's 2 ways of thinking. I'm going to start explaining the one where you don't have to look at markers, and then I'm going to explain the marker version, okay? Since we have the first puddle here on 4 and this puddle here, and I'm on C, do you guys see how there's the circle on my left and I am a circle? I'm overlapping the circles here. This means I'm already on the correct spot and no flex is necessary. If I am not the prey marker, what you're gonna do is the opposite. You're not gonna be on the side of the thing. You're either gonna be aligned with the ball or away from both. Let me show another video here as an example. I think it's this one here. It's this one. See, I don't have the thing. Let me go back here so you guys see the spawn. It spawns D and D. I don't have the thing. The people that have the prey have to be on the side of the balls. And the people that don't have the prey, they're either gonna be inside the balls or away from both of them. If you don't like looking at that and you want to rely on the markers instead, which is also pretty valuable, you just think like this. If the first set of puddles is spawned on the markers, here it's on the letters D and B, then whoever is not a prey is gonna go to the letters, and whoever is a prey are gonna go to the numbers. So both ways works, it's just different ways of thinking about the mechanic. So you either look at the marker where the first one spawns and go like, praise I go to numbers and non-praise goes to letters. And if it's the opposite, you just flip the prio. So if these balls here, if these circles have spawned on the numbers, the people with the balls, with the praise, would go to the letters, and people without them would go to the numbers. Both ways work. It's whatever you want to do. Does anyone have any questions about that? Of where do you go if you are the prey or if you are not the prey? Is it confusing? Do you want to watch it again? Do you want to see it again? Do you want a different explanation? This mechanic is 50% that. Figuring out where you're supposed to go. It's literally that. It's 50% of the dodge. Would a question about help seeing the mechanic be allowed? Of course. Any questions you guys have? I mean, we are here to answer any questions. If you need more VODs, if you need more angles, that's why I have the game here so we can spin the cameras, whatever you guys need. So all I need to do is check whether I have prey and how the AoE marker interacts on my color quadrant. Correct. For this first part of the dodge, yes. So just flex left to right depending on your position to be on side of the big AoE with your AoE. Yes, but keep in mind, you always do this on your colors. So for example, if you are an off tank, you're going to be on yellows here. So you will always do your movements either on B or 2. Similarly, if you are a white mage and you're group 1 and you're here on the marker D, your color is purple. So you always do this part of the mechanic on the D cardinal or the 4 intercardinal. It's always on your colors. It's color based. And keep in mind, I am not talking about the cleave of the boss yet. I'm not talking about the in and out or where you're going to place your praise. I just want to make sure people understand which cardinal the praise are going to stay and which cardinal the non-praise are going to stay, right? I see someone is typing. Let me fucking remove this stream remote so I can actually see people's name. Yeah. So my issue is my left eye had a holy shit. I have a hard time seeing where the eye circles are corresponding to the way markers do. Yes. Let me give you a very simple, straightforward plan. Since you have trouble looking at the markers, I think the first way of thinking about the mechanic that I mentioned will probably be better for you, right? So let me go back to myself here as an example. Let's pretend, what is your job? What do you play as usually? So I can choose your colors here. Are you a DPS? Are you a tank? Or a healer? Bard. Okay, so let's go with the bard here, okay? Let me... I think a flex happened here. Let me go back a little bit. So because you are a bard and you're group 1, you're gonna be looking at the red color, I believe. Let me check. Yes, you see here the bard prepositioning on 1 already. You're always gonna start with your camera angle something like this, right? You're on the 1 marker looking at the boss. If a flex is necessary, you're gonna go to A, to the cardinal to your left. You will never go to the right. So first tip, you will never move to the right here if necessary. You're either gonna stand on your cardinal or you're gonna move to the left, okay? We start here, boom, boom. Ignore the cleave for now. Oops, you see here the thing spawning right in front of you? In your case, there's only gonna be 3 possibilities. You will either have this thing spawning on top of you, you have this thing spawning away from you, or it's gonna spawn right beside you. So you can literally just look in front of you and see, is the circle, the first one, on top of me, beside me, or away from me? If it spawns on top of you, if you don't have the prey circle here, if you don't have the prey marker on your head, you are correct, you're gonna stay here. If this circle spawns to the sides of you, if you have the prey, you are already correct. You're gonna stand here because you have to be beside the circle, whichever side it is, it doesn't matter. If they spawn away from you here, and you have the prey circle, you have to swap to the left. You have to swap to the left and you're gonna stay there. So if you notice, you're really only gonna swap to the left if you need to be either a prey and they spawned away from you, or if they spawned beside you and you don't have a prey, right? Does that make sense now? There will always be 1 circle in each half, correct. The idea is in the end to not drop Starburst on what will later be a safe spot. Yes. Anybody has any other questions, or is it something not clear here so we can start talking about the cleave and the scythe and where to place the stars? I'm just gonna wait for the cardinal to excel. Ah man, there's a bunch of OP tricks that you can use with mechanics, don't worry. Your vision is not gonna hinder you from getting your clear. You 100% gonna get it. Willa has something to say. If Willa doesn't have a question, we're gonna continue, okay? I'm just here, Willa is typing. Okay, nothing, then we continue. Okay, now that you guys know where to go, let's talk about the scythe and the X, okay? Like I mentioned, there's 2 ways of you to figure out which is which. You can check the sound cue or the cast. Me personally, I like to focus on the chat bubble or the sound cue because like someone already wrote in the chat. Let me see here. Yeah, Nova himself did. The cleave, you can't say cleave without leave, right? So she's either gonna say cleave or reap. If she says cleave, you leave. And if it's not cleave, you stay. So cleave. See? She said cleave, so we're gonna leave. Let's take a look at the cleave example first, all right? Because it's cleave and I'm here on the C marker, I'm gonna be away. Let's go away here. And if you notice as well, did you see? Let's take the example you just said. Both things are away from me. They are not close to me, and I don't have a prey. Since I don't have a prey, I am correct. I don't flex here. Now that I know what we do the cleave. Come on, press play. Press fucking play. Come on, hey, press play. Okay, so here. Let me pause here. Let's take a look here on the Dark Knight. It's the same thing for everyone. If she says cleave, it will always hit this line here on the ground. Always this line here. So if it's cleave and you don't have a prey marker on your head, you're gonna stand like this, just in front of the line, just like this, in front of the line. You cannot be further away than that. And if you have the prey marker on your head, you're gonna be, let me play a little bit here, so there you go. And if you have the prey marker on your head, you wanna be at the wall. And you don't move, you literally stand on the wall and you AFK there until your thing explodes. If you are not the prey marker, however, as soon as this explodes, you wanna move inside of the arena, okay? And here's my #1 trick, especially if you are a person with a high latency. I saw that there's Aussie players here in the chat. I don't remember who exactly, but there were people that have like high latency. Me, for example, I play with 260. Hi, yeah, you, Lani, you, yeah. So this is especially important for you, Lani. If you're waiting for the cleave to start running, in some patterns, you're gonna die. This pattern here, for example, do you see how the Dark Knight is on top of the thing? And this was the first one, keep that in mind. This was the first one, so this is gonna explode first. If you wait for the cleave to happen, if you wanna wait for the animation to then start walking away to the center of the arena, you will die. 100%. If you have more than 200 ping, you will die in this pattern. So what you're gonna do is, you're gonna pop sprint, like all of us are doing here. You're gonna pop sprint, and you're gonna be paying attention to the cast bar here. You see the cast bar? As soon as the cast bar ends, when you see it's ending, you should be running. Like frame 1 ends, you run. You don't wait for the animation. And you need sprint. If you do that, I guarantee you, you're not gonna die a single time. And if you don't have high latency, do the same thing. Be safe, okay? But if you have very good ping, I would wait a little bit. If you play with less than 100 ping, as soon as the cast ends, wait just a little tiny bit and then you run. Because if you're too fast, you might get cleaved, all right? But if you're high latency, you're gonna do that ASAP or you die. You're gonna thank me later. And as soon as you get cleaved, you're gonna go inside, you did your protein bait, you're fine. Those protein baits are distance based. So that's precisely why we want the people that don't have the prey to be right here, because this is the limit for the cleave. And because it's distance based, you want to be the closest one to the boss and they want to be the furthest one. Things happen, they move in, and as soon as your star thing explodes, you can want to go back to the center of the arena, and you can do that however you want. You can go running with sprint, you can do the backflip as the Dragoon did, you can use the fucking snake thing, whatever, that the Viper jumps to people, you can use Icarus, you can use whatever you want, but you have to go to the center of the arena. And now here comes the important part. This is the first half of DD, okay? Does anyone have any questions about the cleave? I know we haven't talked about Scythe yet. Just about the cleave. Anyone has any questions? Cast bar is the best, I agree. Cast bar gang. Anybody has any questions about the cleave positioning? With the bait, with the prey marker? Gonna count to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Now let's go take a look at the scythe. So now that she said reap, it's not cleave. We're going to stay in. The logic of the mechanic, it's still the same. You're going to see where is the first one. Here I'm on the C. You see how we have a circle to my side here? And my initial position is C. If I get a prey marker, I am correct. If I don't get a prey marker, I need to swap to this side to bait the protein here. The same thing we discussed earlier. But she said reap. So when she says reap, we are not going to be using this line as a reference. We're actually going to be using these points here in the arena. The cardinals are going to use these things here, and the intercardinals are going to use this arrow here. This is going to be exactly the size of the circle. Let me see if I can get this here. Here, I don't have the thing. This dragoon has it, so this dragoon has to swap to the side, and I don't have a prey, I swap here. Okay, see, I'm gonna swap. Come on, play. And if you notice here, you see how the people that have the prey marker, they are standing at the edge of the limit. They're standing at the edge. Not this guy. This guy. They are standing at the edge of the limit. And people that don't have the prey marker, they're going to be further in here, near this cross, but still aligned with their safe spot here. This is extremely important. Oh, come on. Here. You see the little donut here? This is why I mentioned at the start, if you guys remember. As soon as P2 starts, you can literally go to your clock. If you remember, I positioned myself here before P2 even started. And I'm still standing here. Because if she says reap, I'm already in the limit of the donut. So if I am a prey marker, I don't even have to move, and I don't have to be desperate here like, oh shit, I need to go to the limit. I'm already there. I don't have to scramble my camera. I don't have to be desperate because I already positioned myself. The only thing I would have to do here is, if she says cleave, I'm going to walk back. That's it. If she doesn't say cleave, I'm already positioned. If I am not a prey, I just do a little step inside. If I am a flex, I just do a little step to the side here. Minimal movement, really simple, and you can easily lower the amount of things you have to pay attention during the mechanic, okay? And as soon as this hits, remember how in the other pattern, as soon as the cleave hits, the people that were the non-prey markers have to walk inside first and stay there, and the others are gonna wait a little bit, explode, and then jump. Here we also have a movement, but who does the movement now are the prey markers. As soon as the reap happens, and once again, you can either use the animation or the cast bar. My suggestion, use the cast bar, especially if you're a high latency player, especially in that case. As soon as the cast bar ends, you're gonna move from the limit of the donut's AoE, and you're gonna position yourselves here in this line, still on the cardinal that you were. So the people with the prey markers are going to position those stars on this line here. Always on this line. And then we're going to come back. See, they're going to explode the things on the line. And as soon as that happens, they're going to go back inside. Any questions about the reap positioning? They run out to drop the stars correctly. On the line, always on the line. If it's reap, the stars goes on the line. If it's cleave, the stars go on the wall. If you are not a prey marker, if it's reap, you're gonna stay very close to the center, align it to your cardinal, and after you get hit, you just stand there, you don't have to do anything. And if it's cleave, you're gonna go out in the limits of this line here, the outer line. You're gonna go in the limit of the outer line, and as soon as that cast happens, you're gonna move in. Any other questions about it? Because now we're gonna be talking about the knockbacks and the puddles. Does anyone have any questions about the prey markers, about the protein bait, about the positioning, when to flex, if that was not clear enough? Anybody has any questions, whatever it is, there are no dumb questions. I'm gonna give a minute while I drink water. Okay, we continue then. The way we do the knockback is, there's two ways you can think about it, all right? The first one is you memorize where the first puddle was. In this case, it's 3 and 1. The first puddle is going to expire first. So by the time the others are exploding, this spot here is going to be safe, and this spot here is going to be safe. So one way to do the knockback is to, oh, it's 3 and 1, and I'm group 2. So you just look to your markers, the yellows and the blues, or if you're group 1, the reds and the purples. And whichever one of these 4 markers here is the first puddle, is the side and the position you're going to get knocked back into. Me, personally, I am really fucking stupid. I don't want to memorize that. I don't want to pay attention to that. So what I do instead is I completely ignore the fuck out of this puddle here, and I just use it for the first positioning and the flex here, etc. And as soon as this mechanic happens and it ends, I literally just look to where there's a hole in the arena. You see there's a bunch of circles here, but there's a hole. There's nothing here in 3 and 1. I literally just do that and go to my color of my side. So in this case, I'm group 2. So I literally just look to blues and yellows. After everything is done, I go to the middle of the arena, I look to my colors, and I see, oh, there's a spot here in 3. I go to 3. And that's literally how I do the mechanic. So if you like memorizing stuff to be extra safe, you know where the safe spots are going to be right at the start. You just see where the first puddle is. If you're stupid like me and you don't want to think, you literally just go to the center after solving the first part and see where there is a gap, and you just position yourself there. Whatever works. Sprint isn't required but can help while you're learning, unless you are 200 ping more. If you have more than 200 ping, if you play from Brazil, if you play from Australia or whatever, you sprint every single time. Not every single pattern is gonna kill you, but if you get the pattern where you are on top of the first puddle, you will die. You need sprint. You will die. Yeah. If you have really good ping, then yes, it isn't required. It's good while you're learning, but it isn't required. But if you're a high latency player, follow the advice of your old man here. Use it every single time or you will die, 100%. Okay, so we are going to take the knockback. I assume nobody has questions on that. Let me check the VOD here. Let's not talk about the cursed pattern first. So here, I'm going to explode my thing. I'm going to run to the center, and then I look for the safe spot. Oh, there's a gap here on 2. I go to 2. We get knockback. Remember, do not be too far here on the marker. You want to be from the marker up until the center of the arena to get knocked back here safely. If you're too far away, you're going to wall. It's not going to be an automatic wipe, unless you're a healer, then you're going to be gambling 50-50. But try not to wall, right? And as soon as you get knocked back, my suggestion for you is face your camera to the center of the arena. You want to be able to see the entire arena, okay? I do not have widescreen and I do not use Cami. I do not cheat. So if you have a normal monitor, you can see the entire arena here if you're the wall. So you're going to look at this and you're going to face it, search for this clone. Do you see how right now, if I split my camera here in half, the clone is on the right side of my camera? If the clone is to your right, you're going to bait the puddles to the left. If the clone is to your left, anywhere here to the left, you're going to bait it to the right. So for example, here, the clone is to my right, I'm going to move to the left. But for group 1 here, the clone is to their left, so they're going to move to the right. So you always want to bait the puddles away from this Shiva here. You're going to search this one here and always bait it away from it, okay? Let me just see if somebody said anything. Do you think it would be too fast or do you have enough time? My personal opinion, you have enough time. That's how I did it when I was progging. That's how a lot of other people that I met did as well when they were progging, and people that I gave that advice, and it worked. I think it's literally the same thing. You decide what is your poison. Do you want to react to the safe spot or do you want to memorize the safe spot from the start? Both have its pros and cons. The pro side of memorizing is that you already know where you have to be knocked back into, but the downside is that you are paying attention to more things. If you want to wait and search and react for the find in the hole, you are going to be not as you're not going to be as overwhelmed in the first part because you're going to have less things to pay attention to, but you're going to have to react to the gap. So I think both are equally as good and bad for different reasons. It depends on the player. All right. So here we're going to start baiting the puddles. Number one golden rule advice. Be a good noodle. There are people in PF that as soon as the first puddle hits here, they're gonna be sprinting the fuck out of here. Like just going straight line and non-stop. Don't do that. Does it work? It works. But you're gonna be the reason why you will wipe sometimes. I'm gonna explain that later. What you wanna do here is you're gonna bait a puddle. You're gonna walk just outside of that puddle. You're gonna bait another puddle. You're gonna walk just outside of that puddle. Bait another puddle, and you're gonna do that, okay? So it's gonna look something like this. You see? Outside of the puddle, outside of the puddle, outside of the puddle, outside of the puddle. Hey, why do I have to do that? Why can't I just run here? It's the same thing. Did you notice how both me and the other healer were very, very careful with the puddle? We can be more careful, but we did the normal movement here, just so I could like show you guys how usually it's gonna look for PF, all right? But you can be safer than that. You see this little spot that we have here? If we were just running, the last puddle would not be here. They would be here. And if the other healer did that as well, you would be like completely overwhelmed. Or if not overwhelmed, you would have a tiny little gap here for people to stay. And if you have this clone to the sides like this, you literally cannot slide to them. You're gonna slide, you're gonna step on the puddle during the slide, and you're gonna get a bleed, and you're gonna die. So move very, very carefully with the puddles and stagger them. All right? Any questions on the puddle baits? On the movement or anything? It's pretty straightforward, but does anyone have any questions? Once again, there are no stupid questions. Does it matter if the puddle is against the wall? Do you mean like closer to the wall? No, it does not matter. If it's exactly on the wall, if it's slightly forward, it does not matter. What matters is the staggering of the puddles. Shit, where's the fucking here? Okay. That being said, you wanna look away. I'm gonna be very honest with you guys, and this is just to show you how you don't have to be a nerd to clear this fight as long as you do your best, okay? To this day, and I have cleared this on content really fast, to this day, I have no idea which one of these gives you the stun if you look at them. I always look away from both. I have no idea. There is a correct answer. If you know the correct answer, you are free to say that in the chat. The gold light. Yeah, so it's the outside. I am learning with you guys here. See? Look away from this. Do not look at this or you're gonna get this or this one here. I don't care. If you look away from both, always works. This fight is not really that demanding. There's a lot of leeway. Yeah, it's the gold one, this one here. So I think you get a stun in a DD. Yeah, I mean, you're gonna die. If you're looking at the female one when they're changing clothes, you're gonna die. And you don't want that, right? I can't believe Hera does. I have no idea, man. Me just look away, me hit boss, me clear. Does the gaze and the eyes apply simultaneously? Pretty much, yes. Boom. At the same time. Me no look at boss, me swing X, exactly. FRU go brr. Look respectfully, correct. So look away from this one that's outside of the arena, or be like me and look away from both. And as soon as it happens, now you look here at the cast, or the voice lines. It's up to you, whatever works. The way I like to think here is, if she says stillness in stillness here, you go behind her, okay? If she doesn't say stillness, you wait, and when the cast ends, you go in. It's up to you. You can do the opposite as well. If she says silence, you don't go behind her. If she says whatever else that is not silence, you go behind her. I like to think about the stillness. I think stillness to me makes more sense to like, oh, she said stillness, I go behind her. Because basically, depending on the cast, she's either gonna cleave behind her and then in front of her, or the opposite. She's gonna cleave in front of her and then behind her. So the way I like to think is, if she says stillness, I slide behind her first, and after the cast ends, I slide away. Or if she doesn't say stillness, I stand still, and after the cast, I slide behind her. If you feel that it's better for you to think the opposite way, it still works. It's the same logic, it's just different point of views. Disrespect stillness, correct. Don't listen to her, got it, exactly. This is the one time you can disrespect stillness. Fuck stillness. Use this opportunity. Oops, stillness, I move. Fuck you. I think that she wants me to be still so she can kill me, so I gotta move. That's a good one, Lillian. That's a good one. If she wants you to be in stillness, she wants to kill you, so you move. Cast bottom the animalist is your friend here. Correct. Especially, once again, if you are a high latency player. As soon as it's ending, you wanna move. Be safe, okay? Don't react. Don't react. I have a clip here dying to that to show you how annoying that is. But yeah. Also, we'll be doing T next. Alright, any questions here? I believe not, right? Does anyone is still confused about the stillness in silence? This is the end of DD, okay? Cursed pattern, yes. This is the cursed pattern. Letter, the cursed port, okay. So what is the cursed pattern that we call? Remember when I said that you want to dodge after the knockback, you want to go away from her? If she's on your left, you go to the right. If she's on the left, you go to the left. There is the chance this is going to happen. You're going to be aligned to the safe spot, and she's going to be aligned with the cardinal here, the safe spot. It doesn't matter which side she's in. All that matters is that she's aligned with the knockback safe spot. If this is the case, this is now a cursed pattern. What do we do here? After you get knocked back, remember when I said that you're going to wait for the first puddle, and then when it hits, you're going to start staggering the puddle right on the edge, right on the edge, right on the edge. In this pattern here, it's different. As soon as the star hits, you already want to start moving to the left, okay? You see how I moved a little bit faster here than the others? This was recorded in PF, by the way, so people are slow, but as soon as the star hits, you want to move to the left already, as much as you can, and stop like this. I like to do 3 to 4 notches from the shuriken here. So this way, some people that like doing the Chad move, they can literally just stand here and be safe for the next cleave. But basically here, you want to move fast. And as soon as the first one hits, you keep moving. You don't stop. You keep moving. You go as further away as you can. Because if you spawned, like if you start this mechanic behind her, you want to be opposite of her. And if you are the opposite of her, and now by being fast, you are close to her, now you have to do the following. As soon as the slide happens here, like the freeze happens, you want to slide back here to this party. So this is why we call this the cursed pattern, because you have to be fast. And not only that, you also have to slide away from her if you're the other group. Because right here, you cannot slide from here to behind her because you're going to wall yourself. So you have to move here to only then be able to slide back to safety behind her. And that's why the people that are behind her also have to be fast. Because some players, they don't like to slide and they want to be behind her already. And they just wait for the cast. If it's stillness, they are already there. They don't have to do anything. They just move after the cast. Or if it is not, they just move back and do the same logic movement, if that makes sense, you know. So here, silence, it's not stillness. So we're gonna stay here and not gonna go behind her. And you see how people slide back here. And after the cast ends, that we can't see here because I'm targeting the fucking Dark Knight. After this cast ends, we go behind her. And boom, mechanic is solved. We have a party stack to do after this. Mids and shields and heals. And we got this. Any questions? Got so many cursed patterns. So both light parties move clockwise and pop sprint. Correct. Specifically on the you don't need sprint. You don't need sprint, by the way. You don't need sprint. You can just keep walking normally. Ideally, you don't want to use sprint. I use sprint because I'm laggy, but you don't have to use it. You just keep moving. You just have to keep moving. It's gonna work, okay? But it is correct clockwise. Both groups clockwise. It's the only pattern where both groups are gonna be clockwise like 100% of the time. Rush, and I went to, whoa. No. When I said rush, I mean like you keep moving. You're not gonna do the staggering of the puddles. You wanna keep moving to be opposite of her. Because if you're too slow, the freeze is gonna happen and you're not gonna be able to position yourself opposite of her. Is there a problem using the animation to go as high ping as well? On this mechanic, there isn't a problem. You're not gonna die. But I suggest you start getting used to being, especially if you're a healer, because you're probably gonna be baiting the puddles most of the time, right? It's on support, so. But it's not as problematic as the previous one. You can just react to the animations and you're gonna be fine. Except for the slide, okay? Just to make that very clear. If you have high latency for the slide in the stillness or the silence, as soon as the cast ends, you slide. You don't wait. Don't wait for the animation. If you wait for the animation, you're gonna die. Let me show you guys. Stillness, we go behind her. Now look. I reacted to the animation. I died. If you have high ping, you're always gonna die on this. If you're low ping, you may still die because the snapshot is really shitty, but it's still doable if you are a little bit late. If you have high latency, you cannot be late. You have to move as soon as the cast ends. Should we aim for stopping at a cardinal or intercardinal after puddles, or do we just stop in place the moment our puddles are done dropping? Opposite of her. It doesn't really matter where you're gonna end, as long as you're as most opposite of her as possible without stepping on a puddle. It's not as tight. You just have to be away from her to slide behind her. So it's not that tight. And yeah, the snapshotting is really shitty. Even people with even with a decent ping, you're still gonna get fucked in that. It's more like lenient, but it's still gonna be fucked. Okay, so let's move on. We're gonna have a party stack, and here, depending on how fast your P1 kill time was, you may have the 2 minutes before this cast or after this cast. Be a good noodle, hold DPS, see the enrage in P1, and you're gonna have a very, very comfy P2 and a very comfy intermission as well, okay? By the way, we're not gonna be talking about intermission today, right? We're just gonna be talking about Mirror, a little bit about the Light Rampant, and we're gonna end, okay? So, you can also start your slide a little before the end of the cast. Exactly, you can do that. Especially if you're a high latency. Man, you can do that so fucking early, it's insane. But just wait for the cast, okay? Now, DD. There's two types of movements here. The ranged movement and the melee movement. I'm gonna be going over the ranged movement first. When this happens, you have 2 minutes, use your thing, blah, blah, blah. You see how there's one blue mirror and you're gonna have 2 red mirrors, okay? What is the logic of this? Every time here, this is consistent, okay? This is not gonna change. She's always gonna do the reap animation here with the proteins. Remember on DD, where when she says reap, she does a donut and she does 4 protein baits. She's gonna do the same thing here. the the blue mirror is gonna replicate that action at the same time as her, and the red mirror here is gonna do that action delayed. So the way we solve this is the main tank is gonna pull her away from the blue mirror, and the rangeds are gonna go towards the blue mirror. The way you're gonna position here is looking at the mirror, looking outside of the arena at the mirror, group 1 players to the left, group 2 players to the right. So we're gonna have the region healer here near the wall. We're gonna have the Fizz ranged here on the left side, but a little bit towards the inner part of the arena. And similarly, we're gonna have the shield healer here on the wall, and the caster here a little bit towards the center of the arena. You can use the arena itself as a reference, okay? From the mirror here, 1 notch on the wall is the healer spot. On the other side, same thing for the other healer. If you are a ranged player, you can use this little arrow here. You see this arrow on the arena? If you are group 1, you're gonna be standing on this left edge of this thing, and if you're group 2, you're gonna be standing on the right edge here of this arrow. On the first mirror, it's always like this. You don't want to have no one here in the middle because the melees are gonna be over there. So bait them for the side, and it should look something like this. Kaboom! And as you can see, it's not only the cleaves, it's also the donut from the Reap. So that's why you want to stand here 1 notch. You have this little leniency here. It's not exactly 1 notch, but I like telling people to go 1 notch so they have a leniency on their prog. So if they're a little bit over the notch, they're still fine. If they're a little bit behind the notch, it's still fine. Okay, so aim for the notch. This area here is consistent, pretty safe. And if you're ranged, on the edge of the thing I mentioned here, always works 100% of the time. You're gonna be safe from the cleaves, you're gonna be safe from the donut, you're gonna be safe from everything. And as you'll see, we wanna keep this middle part here safe to not cleave the melees, okay? After this, gonna have a little healing here. You don't have to go there and shield here like this, but if you're following FNBG, do that. That meat sucks, sorry. Anyway, and now here, if you're gonna do this second one, keep in mind, the red mirrors here, they are not always positioned like that. It's a little bit random, but they're always gonna be spaced out at least 1 cardinal from each other. But this mirror here, they could be here, they could be here, they could be in several different places. So if you are a ranged player, from the blue mirror here, from the blue mirror, you will always go towards the closest red mirror. So for example, you see how there's a red mirror to the left here and the other one is opposite of us? Because it's opposite of us, this is the closest one. So the ranged players are gonna go over here. If this mirror was not here, if this mirror was here, we would also go to that one because that mirror is closest to us ranged players. The only exception is when we have a pattern where we have 1 mirror like this and another one like this. Because the distance is the same for us and it's a little bit arbitrarily which one we choose, the PF standard is for the ranged player to always go to the left one. We always go clockwise for the left one and we leave the counterclockwise, the right one, for the melees. Any other pattern, you just go to the closest one. Does that make sense? And you're gonna do the same thing with 1 tiny change for the ranged players. Because now the melees are not on the center of the arena, they are gonna be offset to one of the mirrors. One thing's gonna change here. The healers are still gonna be on the wall. Same thing as I mentioned. 1 little tick here. The same position, it will never change for you. But for the ranged, do you see how now the red mirror is here to our left? They could be to our right. If we had to go to a mirror here and we had another one here, the people would be to our right side, right? So pretend though that mirror was here. The ranged player have to pay attention to where the melees are, and the ranged player from that side is gonna flex to the middle. What do I mean with that? Remember the arrow that I mentioned that is doing like this? Because the melees are on our left side here, the range from this side here, which in this case is the group 2 range, the caster, they cannot stand on this edge of the arrow because they're gonna cleave everyone. Instead, they're gonna stand here, just below this part here of the arrow. They're gonna stand just below here to bait the protein to the middle. And the other range, because there's no melee players here, they can default to the edge here. So one of the ranges is gonna have to adjust to the middle of the arena here, like just below this middle part. You see here the black mage? It doesn't really matter. You don't have to go super far here. You just have to be aligned here. It's not precise. Just be aligned and do not go over this edge here. It's the limit. So you want to stand here in the middle to bait the protein to the middle. Like this. See? No cleave on the melees. And after you do that, we're going to have to pay attention to this. If there's multiple balls, this is a spread. If there's one ball or two balls, if one ball, you literally just do a pair stack, partners. And further ranged, group 2 stacks with group 2, group 1 stacks with group 1. You literally just do a step to the side, stack, and stack. If it's spread, in this case it's spread, you just spread a little bit. Usually you have the 5th range moving more, you have the caster going a little bit more towards the center, or a little bit more towards the side, and you have the healers moving here. If you want to be optimal, in PF this will not always be possible, but if you want and you can, you want to leave the middle for the healers, okay? So 5th ranged, go the fuck away, just yeet yourself away. Caster, you can plant a little bit here in the center and let the healers adjust to whatever they want. So here, for example, I like going a little bit towards the melees to shield them. The regen healer can go a little bit towards the center to heal. It's up to them, right? And you just spread or stack. For the ranges, any questions? Just for the ranges, we haven't talked about the melees yet. It's mostly the same thing, but just for the ranges, any questions? Is PF standard to give prior for the healers? Not really. Like, it's good. Not everyone follows it. It's kind of like P1 for the Tether in Utopian. Half of PF does the absolute Tether prio. Some people do vibes. It's 50-50. If you want to be a good guy, you want to leave the meter for the healers. If they don't use it, it's their problem. But yeah. We just flex so we don't PvP the melees. Exactly. The movement itself, it's always the same. The only thing that's gonna change is that every pool, either one ranged or the other, is gonna have to do the second bait towards the center to not kill the melees. Besides that, everything is the same. As a healer, it's been a lot of views, guys. Welcome to PF. Okay, nothing. I'm gonna go over the melees then. I'm gonna pick the Gunbreaker here, because the Gunbreaker is the main tank, all right? Now, the melees. If you were paying attention to the ranged explanation, it's mostly the same thing with some small differences, okay? Main tank. You're always gonna be pulling the boss away from the blue mirror here. How much away? Honestly, it doesn't really matter, okay? You just cannot let her be dead center in the arena. You see here, the Gunbreaker is pulling just around the markers. If you want to pull this more, it's not a problem. You just don't want to pull her to the wall, ideally, because here, for example, is the pattern I mentioned, remember? Where I have the 2 mirrors close to the blue one. So if you pull her to the wall, you're gonna have to walk a shit ton here to get to this. And if you're that far, she might get stuck, or like not get stuck, but like you might be too far away by the moment this resolves, you know? So just around here in these markers is the swift spot. Somewhere around here is good. It's gonna work 100% of the time, okay? I think this is a little bit too close, but this is still fine. When she does the scythe kick, you are literally gonna do a spread in the inner part of her hitbox, just like this, okay? And similarly, you're gonna follow just like the spread, just like this, okay? You have the melees on the back because they might want the positionals, and the tanks can just spread themselves like this. It's not that tight. As you can see, there's a lot of space here for the melees. The only people here that have to be careful, usually it's the DPS melee players. They have to make sure they are not facing this protein towards the blue thing here. So as a rule of thumb, go inside and aim your thing to the, you see like this little intersection here from the rear and the flank. Just align yourself with this and you're gonna be fine. The things are gonna do something similar here on the left and the right. Does that make sense? But the logic, it's the same as the mirror. After you do that, the main tank is gonna pull her to the shield, to the red thing here. And following the same prio, okay, like I mentioned, because the ranged here are gonna get the closest one from them here, from the blue thing, they're always gonna get the closest one and you're always gonna get the furthest one. If it's this pattern here, which is the one I mentioned, where you have the blue mirror here, let me do this in lore. They have the blue mirror here. The ranges are gonna go clockwise, and you guys are gonna get the counterclockwise one here. Okay, so you're gonna pull the boss here, and you're gonna do the exact same mechanic as the ranged did, and same logic, same thing. Okay. Group 1 looking at the mirror goes to the left, so the main tank here is 1, they go to the left, and group 2 to the right, so the off tank goes to the right here. And it's the same logic. Supports, in this case the tanks, 1 notch, holy shit, this guy almost walled. 1 notch here from the mirror on the wall, and you're always gonna be fine. DPS players, same deal as the ranged. You're gonna be on the edge here, but whoever is on the side of the ranged here is gonna do the flex to the center. Same logic, same thing. And after that, for stack and spread, you're gonna do the exact same thing as you would do in the first spread. The melees are gonna go further away here because they want their positionals, and the tanks are gonna stand in front. If it's spread, this is the position for the spread. If it's stack, group 1 stack here, group 2 stacks here for the melees, right? You just look at her head. So you see here, now it's only 1 ball floating. Because it's not multiple, it's not a spread. This is a partner stack. So you just stack like this, and people are gonna stack here like that. After that, it's done. We go to light rampant. Any questions for the melees? I'm gonna give 5 seconds. Any other questions about this? We're gonna stop talking about mirror, and we're gonna be talking about light rampant. Once again, guys, there are no stupid questions. Oh, hey, I'm the dragon. Are you Noodles? Were you in this PF? Thanks for the Rasga. I got you, homie. Hell yeah, we found the good noodle. Okay, let's go over light rampant. And light rampant, guys, I'm gonna be very honest with you. I am not gonna explain 100% of light rampant. I'm gonna explain about it and I'm gonna give advice and tips, but I'm not gonna keep you guys here for another 50 minutes just because of this mechanic, because it's a very convoluted mechanic, okay? But I will be explaining it. My number 1 suggestion for you guys is, if you want to go very, very nerd mode with this, go here in the NAUR website. You're going to go here to P2. You're going to click on this, and you're going to have a shit ton of slides here. Why do I say that? Okay? Because, oh shit, I almost dropped something. because this mechanic itself is not really extremely difficult, but the beginning of this mechanic is a little bit overwhelming for you to understand at first, okay? When the cast starts, we want to do this conga here. The 4 supports on north and the 4 DPSs on south. The conga is always like this. Healer 1, healer 2, tank 1, tank 2, ranged 1, ranged 2, melee 1, melee 2. It's always like this. And you want to position yourselves here around the ring of the boss, okay? You want to position on the ring of the boss like this. This is not really very well explained on these slides and toolboxes, but you don't want to make a conga, like a straight line conga. You want to do a curved conga. You want to do a banana. You want to do a banana conga. A conga nana. You want to do a conga nana at the end of the day, all right? Because when this cast ends, the tatters are going to be distance based on people. So you want to do a conga nana because you want to make sure the tatters are always like this, making a circular motion. Because if you are not doing a conga nana and you're doing a normal conga like this, the distance between this person here, and this guy is gonna be inconsistent. So you may be closer to this guy than to this one. Does that make sense? Or if this guy has a prey marker, or more so, if these two guys here have a prey marker, the distance between this guy here and these two might be fucked up. And you guys are gonna get an entangled status, and it's gonna be chaos to adjust that on the fly, and you guys are gonna wipe. So remember, do the conga nana, okay? Go to the ring of the boss. Like this white mage here is fine, but he could have moved over here. Just like the Dark Knight did here. You see how the Dark Knight didn't just follow the line of the Gunbreaker here? They went a little bit to the side to do a little bit of a curve here, a conga nana. So yeah, that's what you want to do, right? So when this starts, 2 things are going to happen. 2 people are going to have the prey marker, and everyone else is going to be tethered. The goal of this mechanic is to do this. We want to have 3 people in these 3 cardinals and 3 people on these 3 cardinals. Ignore this middle arrow at first. You want to have 1 person in front of each tower. The problem here is that the 2 people that will get the prey marker are random. It's any 2 people. So you could have 2 supports, you could have 2 DPSs, you could have 1 of each, you could have 1 in each side, you have 2 together. Like, there's a bunch of different priors, okay? This mechanic looks scary, but it really is not, okay? If you go to the NAUR chats and check the resources and stuff, I'm still that, yeah. If you go check the resources, there's a bunch of, well, I think if you go to the FRU one, let me see, just so I'm not saying fake news here. Yeah, okay, so if you check here, there's a bunch of cheat sheets for you to take a look at, but in a nutshell, just so you are aware, if you are, let's say, healer 1 here, okay, most of the time, you're only gonna have 2 positions. You will always soak this tower or this tower, and it never changes if you are not a prey. And the same logic applies, for example, for the ranged one, okay? Let me give you an example here. As soon as we do this, let's say in this example here, these 2 guys got the puddle, right? So tank 1 is here and melee 1 is here. If it's 1 in each role getting the puddles, the ranged one will always be in this on this side of the tower. Do you see? If it's always 1-1, he will always be in this position. It doesn't matter who gets the prey, but if it's 1 to each side, he will always be here. So if you look now at the arrows here, the person who is on this tower here is gonna move to this. This tower is gonna move to this, and these 2 are gonna swap as well, because we need to stretch these status. The ranged one in this case does not move, so he'll always get this tower. See? So If there is one prey in each side, ranged one always gets this. However, if we have, let me get another example here. Where's the other examples? He doesn't have it. Let's say these two guys here got the puddle, right? Now these two healers have to rotate clockwise. So this healer is here and this healer is here. Ranged one is gonna rotate here. So if it's a 2-2 on that side, ranged one will always be here and rotate here. So in reality, this guy will only soak this tower and this tower. So this is what I mean with, I'm gonna stop here and I'm not gonna tell you guys every single interaction. I just wanted to elucidate a couple of patterns because each of you are really only gonna do 2 or 3 positionings at max. Most of you will only have 2. Some like in the mid, like the tanks here, like for example, or these melees, they're gonna have 3 different positions. But go study, go check the cheat sheets there and check only for your position. This is consistent. Whatever role you play, you will always be playing on that role and you will always be having that spot. So healer 1 only has to memorize 2 patterns. Ranged 1 only has to memorize 2 patterns. And so it goes. Does it make sense? I know some of you may have questions about specific patterns, but like I said, I really don't want to waste too much time into this. Do you recommend hitting the FRU sim to help study light rampant? 1000% yes. This mechanic is literally single player and that simulator is really good. The sims for FRU are all really, really freaking good and useful. They are not like the top ones. So abuse the shit out of the sims. This mechanic here is literally single player. You just have to study. You just have to make sure you understand what you have to do. Ignore the fucking tanks. Ignore the melees. Create a flow chart for you to memorize what you have to do. Like, for example, I'm going to give my flow chart because I am... Oh, holy shit, this is big. I'm going to give a flow chart in the case of healer 1 because and healer 2 because it's what I play the most, right? I'm usually a healer in this fight. I will always, most of the time, I will either go to this tower or this one here. And I'm only going to move to this tower here in south if we have 2 supports here grabbing... Sorry, if we have like 2 supports or 2 DPS grabbing the prey marker. If it is not 2 in each side, I literally always move to this tower. I don't even have to think. The only way I'm going to be moving to this tower here is if it's 2 prey markers on the same side. If it's not, I'm always on this. You see how stupid that is? But it is different for every single person. This ranged here is going to do different movements. This tank here is going to do different movements. This range is going to do different movements. So it really depends on your role, okay? But it's not scary. It's study for you and go hit the sim. Any questions here? Just for this press. Just for the tower soaks. Okay, I'm going to assume not. So let's go to the last part of this phase, okay? Ignore the prey markers for now. Let's just talk about the towers, okay? You see here? 2-2. So I know because there's 2 DPSs with this, I don't even have to think. I know I'm gonna have to cross to south. So I go here, I use my mitts. By the way, keep in mind, I'm using mitts differently from FMBG. And once again, if you're a healer, this is my suggestion. Throw that in the trash, do the other stuff. But anyway. You're gonna soak your tower and remember to be on the wall. Be on the wall because we need to stretch the status. It is not fast. You have a long time. Many polls already happened where people would be lost and at the last second they would move to the towers. It is not that tight. You have a long time. Don't worry about it. This is not a fast mechanic. It's just a convoluted mechanic. As soon as you soak these, both groups are gonna rotate clockwise. Okay? You see this orb here spawning? Basically, orbs are gonna spawn in the arena. All that you have to keep in mind is the orb will either spawn on top of you here in this cardinal, or they're gonna spawn to the side here. And at the end of the day, there's going to have an AoE doing this and an AoE doing this. And they're always going to explode. The only thing that changes here is that you will either have to wait behind here, and after this explodes, you move out of this one, or this one will explode first and you have to be out of it, and then you wait for this to explode and you move out of the other one. But you're always going to be doing this. You're going to be dodging from the first one that will show up. You're going to wait just slightly outside of it, and as soon as it explodes, you move out of the one you're currently standing on top of. So here, for example, the cardinal one is spawning first, see? So we are all gonna be moving to the side here. I'm gonna talk about this stack later, don't worry. We're gonna be here, outside of this, and then we move. Simple as that, right? Now, what the fuck is this stack and what should you guys keep in mind? There's people that here do not be like this Dark Knight and the Bard. You do not want to wait on the Cardinal. This is bad habit. This will cost you pulls and this will wipe you eventually. Okay? You always want to move in between these two Cardinals here. You want to stand on this spot here for two reasons. Okay? Number one, so you are closer to the edge of this in case this one is exploding first, which is the case of this pool here. And number two, because if you guys have to, let's say, this dude here, right? He is baiting puddles. Which, by the way, this is the dragon, right? It's Noodle. Yeah, this is Noodle. Hi, Noodle. So Noodle was baiting the puddles here. And he has to get to the thing. If you are standing here, he's gonna be fucked as well because now he's gonna be late as fuck. He wants to get the fuck out of this place as soon as possible to start going to the safe spot. So we want to go here and wait for him here. Do not go too far, okay? It is possible for him to get very far, but most people in PF don't know the right movement. For example, here, he did not know the right movement, so he cannot get too far. But it's not a problem because the standard is to wait here on this spot here, okay? So we're going to wait here and see. We're going to have a party stack happening here. When the party stack happens, you go to the safe spot. And as you can see, it's pretty fast, this stack, because you're going to have to stack and move away from the first telegraph. And here comes the number one wipe reason that happens here, okay? Did you see how we stacked and we had to move away from this telegraph to the safe spot? The opposite can happen. This one spawns first, and we literally just wait here to then move to the next one. The problem is that people see the stack happening and they think that is the explosion of this orb and they move in and they die and the pool goes to the trash, right? My number one suggestion, do not look at the party stack. Do not look at that, completely ignore its existence. Go to your position, stand with people, and do not look at you. When you get to position, you're gonna be looking here to the enemy list. Trust me, this will save you several hours and pulls of prog. Go to your spot, stop looking at yourself and look here. You're gonna have 3 casts of bursts that are almost ending and 3 casts of bursts that are starting. The position here is probably different. It might be different for you, I don't know. But there's always gonna be 3 together here that are gonna be the first ones. And as soon as this cast ends, you dodge the first puddle, ignore the stack, completely forget its existence. Just stand with people, stop looking at yourself, and look here. When this cast ends, you dodge. Okay? The only thing you're gonna be looking at is if you have to move here first, right? You're gonna be waiting for the stack, and then you move in, and then you stop looking at yourself. Use this as a reference, okay? So to simplify, to make your life a lot easier, you finish soaking your tower, you finish baiting the puddles that we're going to be talking about in a second. You're standing here as a no. So let's go to the bait of the puddles, all right? I think I don't have a pool of me doing the movement, but I have someone doing it. Okay, here. Now, if you got the puddle, okay, this is literally just a simple prio. Looking at south or looking at north, depending on whatever is your group, right? The leftmost, in this case, looking at south, the leftmost goes left, the rightmost goes right. If you're on south looking north, same logic. You just go to whatever side is closest to you. If you have two people in the same spot aligned, you always do clockwise. So this guy here goes left, this guy here goes left. Simple as that. All right. You just go to the closest one, and if it's both on the same prio, clockwise. You're gonna move to the edge of the arena. There are different ways of doing this. Okay, there's a bunch of people that are more comfortable with the fights, that they do different puddles. They do the flaccid dick puddles. They do the weird one that where they stack two puddles together. Like, there's a bunch of different things you can do. But right now, if you're progging, just do the simple one, okay? The correct movement should be this. You're gonna be one on the wall. You're gonna be one very close like this, if you can. If you can't do that, you're fine. Just do it walking forward. It's all good. But you want to stagger as most as you can, like basically doing what we did in the puddle baits for DD, remember? And ideally, if you did the correct movement, your last puddle should be like this, before this here, right? And as soon as you bait the third puddle, even if you didn't do that tight like this, it's okay. It's okay to do like further away and cleave a little bit of the center if you're not comfortable. That's not a problem at all. But as soon as you bait the third puddle, in this case here, you're gonna do 90 degrees here like this. You're gonna bait another one. You can even do this little curve that he did. It's not necessary, but you can do this. And after you bait the fourth puddle, you can literally go in a straight line to the potty. Literally just do a straight potty, because you only have one more puddle to bait. You see? You have more than enough time. He was a little bit late here because he dodged to the side, but he had done like a straight curve here, bait the fourth puddle, and come straight here. You can even reach this safe spot if you want. But 1, 2, 3, 90 degrees, sharp turn, fourth puddle, straight line here. But hey, aren't we gonna pollute this spot here? Yes, and it does not matter at all. Because if you did this fast enough, you see how the last puddle is here? The last puddle is gonna be something like this at most. You still have all of this way here to walk. It's not a problem at all. Ideally, you want to do it like him, where he moved a little bit to the side because he's more comfortable with it already. But it's not like it's not necessary. It's just if you can. Now here, after you do that, everyone check your debuffs. Do not do that before, because you're gonna get another stack of this on the light party stack that you're gonna be doing. So after the light party stack, check your debuffs. Everybody that is a 2 is gonna move inside and soak this tower. If you are a 3, you're gonna stay outside. Do not go into the tower. And it's literally soaking tower. After that, spread or a partner stack. If it's spread, you just go to your clock. If it's a partner stack, you just go to your partner on your color code. So here the white mage and the viper would stack. The gunbreaker and the bard would stack. So it's literally a stack of spread here. And after that, get heals, stay spread, clock positions here. This is always a spread, okay? Even if before was a partner stack, House of Light is always a spread. Stay on your clock, and that's it. The fight is over. You have to bring her to below 20%, and the boss dies. Does anyone have any questions? The what? Yeah. Any questions on that last part? On the puddles bait? On the towers? On the stacks? The 2 and 3s? Was something confusing? Is there a real danger of snapping Terras normally? No. For you to snap the Terras on DD, someone have to be very wrong or very, very late. There's a long time before the Terras become active. And if you're not in your tower or in the wall after those huge amount of seconds, I would dare say it's like 10 fucking full seconds. It's a long time until they become active. If you're not in your tower by those 10 seconds on the wall, you are very lost in the mechanic already, and it's gonna be a wipe. But if you're on the tower, like even if you're not on the wall, if you're just like in the middle of the tower, it should still be fine, but just for safety and consistency, be at the wall. Priority for puddles. In slide 22, both tanks get them. The first player clockwise takes the first pot and the other just rotates. Slider 22. Here. You do it once again. Look in here. This is the rightmost, this is the leftmost. This goes here, this goes here. You just get the one closest from you. As long as you don't steal someone's. The thing I mentioned is if this tank gets the puddle and this melee gets the puddle as well, they both have the same prio. So because they both have the same prio, this tank goes clockwise, this one goes clockwise. Anything other than that, you just take the closest one. Yeah, it's very simple. It's exactly just like Nucleus Cactuar said. It's only if it's in the same column. If it's in the same column, the same prio, then yes, clockwise both. Any other questions? Is there any other question in the entire phase that you're still not sure or that was confusing? Anything else? Otherwise, we can end here. And the people that want to leave can leave. I am still going to give some tips and tricks for specific jobs, but those are by no means necessary. How tight is the damage check? Depends. Do you have a Picto? Do you have a Picto? If the answer is yes, what is the damage check? Do you have a Viper? I'm a black mage player, so no. Do you have a Picto fake melee, or are you a fake melee, you know? Is still Picto busted after the changes? Yes. Not as busted as before, but it's still incredibly stupid. The fight design itself makes Picto strong. For light rampant puddle baits, don't worry about hitting your teammates with it. It won't kill them. Also, I recommend doing edge-to-edge puddles initially for prog so you don't bleed. I agree 100%. If you do edge-to-edge, it's always gonna work. Just make sure to do the 90 degrees turn after the third puddle to make sure things are consistent. And yeah, the puddle doesn't kill people if you hit them with the initial thing. Like, this mechanic is very lenient, guys. Like, it's extremely lenient. Believe it or not. Is there time to hit her after light rampant? Yes, you're still gonna have 1 minute, I think, after light rampant. Right here. She's gonna do she's gonna do the protein. What is this? Okay, let me show you here. We're gonna bait this here. Ba. Okay, here. Here she's already targetable. We're gonna do the spread. Oh shit, we died here. I should have grabbed a different pool, huh? Let me get from another recording here. Here. We're gonna do this. After this first one, she's gonna be targetable. And you can DPS her. She's gonna do the spread. Holy shit. Okay, I exploded my VOC. Yeah, see, she's targetable. She's gonna do the spread. And then you're gonna DPS. And I did not keep recording this one. But yeah, you're gonna have time. You're gonna have time, don't worry. Is that really different? It's not different. It's that depending on what role are you playing, your position in the Konganana is gonna be different. And because it's gonna be different, you're gonna have to soak different types of towers, you know? So, like, if you go from a healer to a melee, your towers are gonna be very different overall. Like, the logic is still the same, but you're gonna have to memorize different towers to soak. Tank 2 should always get East with Prey, accounting for both closest prio and closest prio. Correct. Correct. For Puddles, you would always get that one. It does not change. So you see, like, the mechanic may look overwhelming, but when you cut all the bullshit and just focus on what you have to do, all parts of Light Rampant are like 2 or 3 things they always do. It's always those 2 or 3. And in the case of some roles where you only have 2 patterns, one of them is gonna happen 90% of the time, and the other one is gonna be an exception. So it's even easier than it sounds like. You still have to study, you still have to sim, so that's why I said go study, go check what is your prio, and things are gonna be really good for you. Yes, you can ignore a shit ton of stuff except for the very important things for you. Yes, Leah is correct. That is a really good reminder. The southeast and southwest DPSs, they always just soak the tower that are near them, while the northwest and northeast supports, or people that rotated there, always have to cross. That's a really good reminder from Leah. So gamers, last time I'm gonna ask, any other questions? It doesn't have to be about Light Rampant now. It can be about DD, Mirror, anything else? Okay, I'm gonna take that as a no. Then, guys, that was it. Okay, that was 90 minutes, maybe 100 minutes. It was quite long, but I hope that was very useful for you guys because, like I said, all of this is being recorded. It's on Twitch, so if you need to rewatch this later, it's gonna be there. All right. But I prefer to do this way where we can answer a bunch of questions. We can go very slowly, so you guys don't have any questions because I know that sometimes just the slideshows are not enough. And as you guys are aware, most videos out there uses either EU strats or some other random ass static strats. So I wanted to be very thorough with how we do stuff on NA for you guys. Nova is now a speaker. Hello, Nova. Yes, I'm still gonna go over that. I'm just gonna quote unquote close it here because not everyone is interested in specific stuff. I'm gonna be talking mostly about healers and some stuff for tanks. But yeah, and maybe if the other helpers have other stuff as well for specific other DPS or whatever, they're always free to say it and we can talk about that. But like I say, like it's literally just like extra info. The actual lecture is done. So yeah, now Nova, if you want to say something. Just a quick things here, okay? P2 as a whole is not really that difficult to heal, okay? There's only 2 points of struggle healing-wise, and that really depends on the composition. So let me start by talking about the specific healer compositions that might have trouble, all right? I don't know about cool kids, I'm here. So if you are a white mage, okay, then knockback is gonna be really shitty for you and you will probably want to use Swift Cast. This here. White mage is not really super mobile and this part here deals a decent amount of damage, you see? It's you see how there's a lot of damage? So white mage is not really that good in this phase here. So my suggestion for you, you wanna use the fucking plenary to boost your healing on your side. You have your Lily, but more importantly, use and abuse of Swift Cast Cure 3. I personally don't like using the Medica 3 on the Swift Cast because you can cast that before the knockback. and it's gonna last, it's gonna be good. So Medica 3 before the knockback, Swift Cascade 3 on demand. Alright? And don't forget plenary. This part really hurts. If you are a shield healer playing with a white mage, keep in mind your side is gonna hurt a lot more. It will hurt, period. Okay? Especially if the other healer is doing FMBG. So keep that in mind. For shield healers, Scholar, I think I saw some people talking about Scholar before earlier in the chat. Scholar has a really shitty tight timing with the spread low here. It is annoying, but it's really powerful. So if you can get used to that, that's really good. All right. Sage, absolutely OP in this phase. And this is the number one trick I want to tell you guys here, because Sage has a really specific trick that the Scholar can do it, but they're going to waste a lot of resources, which is the fact that Sage can spam Caracol. So when this boss is targetable here, she's going to be targetable for 30 seconds. That means that if you dot her frame 1 GCD here, when this dot is at 15 seconds, you can use two tails. The 15 seconds dot or the Stank Buster. When she attacks, she does 1-2, 1-2, and she's going to do a second one. On the second hit, you're going to use Caracol. You can use Soil if you're a Scholar. You can use the same lineup, but you're going to lose a bunch of Vither Flows here. You use Caracol. This is going to last until this raid wide. And interestingly enough, if you use on that specific timing, you're going to meet this, and your Caracol is going to be back before the knockback. And if you use this Caracol here for the knockback, let me show you. Here, it comes back right before. If you use this Caracol, this is really fucking OP, because now both sides have an extra 10% mitigation in regen, and you're gonna make the life of the white mage a lot better. Once again, you can use Soil as well, but it doesn't work that great because you have to be very fast and people have to be standing on the Soil, which doesn't get the entire area here. But Caracol is really powerful. So you can mitigate the raid wide, you can mitigate the puddles, and it's gonna be back like 4 or 5 seconds before the party stack here. So you can literally mitigate every single fucking thing in this fight as a Sage. Sage is really, really powerful. See, it comes back just before the thing. It's a very nerd lineup, but if you get used to do that, especially when you're starting to prog, you're gonna see how it's gonna be much, much comfier to play this fight as a Sage. Would Lily in center hit both parties? Depends on which mid plan you are gonna use. Let me see. For if you're using FMBG, it doesn't have anything here. And I don't think the others have either, all right? But it's not necessary. If you are a white mage, all you have to do is Medica 3, so both sides have a regen, and you pray, all right? Just so you guys have an idea of why I mentioned the differences in Mitsheet. Let's take FRU midi here, for example. And this is what I mean with the fight being comfy or not. Let's take, for example, here the regions. You see how Astro has nothing for Sinbound Holy and only has neutral Sun Sector and Mirror Mirror? You don't need this in Mirror Mirror. But you do have a neutral sect here that is free. So you can use a neutral sect for the knockback and Sun Sign. So you're gonna have the extra mid from the Sun Sign and the shields and the buffed regions from neutral sect, making this part really, really easy. You don't need anything else here for Mirror Mirror. And the macro is even optional because you're going to have a star, you're going to have a lady, you're going to have a horoscope, and all of these are more than enough to get you through Mirror Mirror. So this is the kind of thing that I say of like, if you don't want to think, regardless of which healer you play, go FNBG. If you want to do a little extra and have a safer Mitsheet, FRU midi, or NAUR room meets. What is the difference between NAUR and FRU midi? Basically, arbitrarily decisions. So, for example, some things, let me give a perfect example here. If you go to P1, NAUR mid has, where is it? Temperance for Flame Stack, and Lilybell for Banished 2. If you go to FRU, you have Bell on the first one, and you have Temperance on the second one. Does it change anything? Not really. It doesn't matter. It's just reversed order. So Roommate does one thing one way, FRU does the opposite, but at the end of the day, both are equally better than FNBG. For example, if you check FNBG here, if you're playing a shield healer, you're using Holos and Kara for Banished 1, and that is a massive waste. Because you don't need Holos here. You can actually stack Holos and Caracol both for the entirety of FOF and Banished 2, which makes the overall healing a lot easier in that phase. So if you want to do extra, FRU or NAUR Roommate, whatever suits your fancy, whatever works best for you. I personally like FRU and I do a couple of things differently as well, but I use FRU as a base. So things should follow FNBG. Yes, you are forced to follow FNBG, unfortunately. The other Mitsheets are also better, but it is too late now. So we focus on FNBG. It's the standard. Please do that. And healers, like I said, NAUR Roommates and FRU are both compatible with FNBG. So if you are a shield healer and you're playing in PF where your region is doing FNBG, you can follow FRU and you're gonna carry that lockout. Because it's compatible and it's better. Okay. Let me see what else here. Astros. I talked about all the other healers. I didn't talk about Astro here. Astro, I would suggest, like I said, follow FRU here. The neutral sect on this phase makes a massive difference. The Sunshine makes a massive difference. And if you're doing that, and the Sage is doing the Caracol trick, this phase here, this mechanic deals absolutely no damage, and it's really stupid. Now, let's move on here. If someone dies here, let's say I was dead and I couldn't get rest on time. You can survive this as long as everybody has the mitts and the shields in time, okay? You're just gonna be very low. So if you are a tank, you don't have to use tank LB. However, for the tanks, if 2 people are dead here, tank LB. Just use tank LB, fuck it. All right, it's still possible to kill the fight without this phase without LB3. It is still possible to do the intermission without LB3 as well. So if you are progging this and 2 or more people died here, tank LB, don't even think twice. Tank LB here, okay? If the shield healer is alive and they use the mitts, you have the shields, everybody full HP, that with the tank LB will make you survive with 2 to 3 people dead, all right? And that's gonna get you your prog. Exactly. 7, it is okay. Less than 7, tank LB. You see the amount of damage that we got hit here? And we even have a white mage. And by that, I mean, he doesn't have mitts, right? The Astro would have mitts. But what I mean is, even with a white mage, you still survive. If one person was dead, this Viper here would still survive, but with like very tiny peaks of AGP here, but they would still survive. But less than 7 people, you need a tank LB to survive. Now, mirror. First thing I want to talk about is a quick thing for the tanks, all right? Because you only do the wall baits on the second part, one thing that happens a lot, and I really want to emphasize this for the tanks, is you have to be on the wall here. It is very common for the tanks to just think that just being around here is enough, and they are too up. They are too like towards the center of the arena, and that makes the cleave hit the healer here. If the healer dies here, it is a wipe. The only way to recover here is if one person dies in the first protean and the healer rests as soon as possible in the correct spot. It is rare, but it happens. I have a clip for that if you guys want to see, but it's very niche, it's very specific, and it's not really reliable. But if anyone dies here in the second cleave, it is going to be a wipe because you're not going to have time to rest the person before the next spread or cleave, okay? So tanks, be very, very careful here with your positioning. You see how, like this, it doesn't look like it's close to the people. But if you were just a tiny bit up, this would be very, very dangerously close. So you have to be close to the wall here. As for the healers, this mechanic is not as scary as it looks. If you are a white mage, after the first, let me go back here. This is not the white mage one. The sage one, I mean. Here. You're gonna shield, you're gonna use your mitts, right? Follow the Mitsheet that works best for you there. If you are in Astro, for both NAUR and FRU Mitsheet, I think it tells you to, it doesn't tell you, it shows you that you have the option of using macro. I don't suggest you do that. It is an option. You can do that if you feel like. My personal suggestion is to not use macro here because you're gonna have a horoscope here that you can proc with a region. You're gonna have a lady and you're gonna have a star. Okay. Here, after the first hit, I like using Panhaima as soon as the mirrors appear because it helps stop people after the first hit. So if you notice, look how much damage we're gonna get here. We took half of our HP. Do you see now why I say that having a neutral sect and a sun sign here is overkill? You don't need that because you can literally go inside, use a lady in a horoscope. It doesn't even have to be procced. Or if you're a white mage, you can literally just go inside, use an AoE Lily and call it a day. You're gonna be using wings here. You see, like you're gonna use wings in the first one. You're gonna pop the shield for the second one. Like this phase is not dangerous at all. See, you only lose half of your HP. The only scary part, and this I want to bring your attention, and this is where the healers and the tanks have to pay attention, okay? After the second cleave here, spread or stack, the melees usually are gonna be lower than the rangeds because they may or may not lose some heals because they're further away, especially the melee that is further away here. In the case, as you can see, it's the Dragoon, it's Noodle. So healers, try to use something here, try to do spot healing. If you are a sage here, you can use Numa. If you are a scholar here, you can use whatever the fuck you want. You can use an extra indom here if you feel like, or if you're using the, I don't know which the Mitsheet tells you, depends on which Mitsheet, you're going to be doing different things, but you're always going to have a bottom here. If you are a white mage, use an AoE Lily, use a Tetra for the melees. So you want to heal people here as necessary. And as for the tanks, you have to buddy meet your melee. Buddy meet your melee. So if you are group 1, you're the main tank, you're gonna be buddy meeting the melee one. In this case, it's the Viper. If you're an off tank, you're gonna be buddy meeting the melee 2. In this case, it's the Dragoon. So don't forget your buddy meet because it's very, very easy here for a melee to die for lack of healing. And sometimes it's not even that the healers didn't heal, they just didn't reach him because he's so far and it's difficult to heal there, right? That's why I personally like to go closer here as a sage. That's why when I go with a region healer, like for example, the Astro, I like to delay my start to heal this spot here. So when both mirrors appear, I place the star in between the both of the red mirrors because I want it to cook and heal people for this last stacker spread. This, honestly, in my opinion, my biased subjective opinion, is the only scary part on healing in this entire phase. Everything else, it's pretty okay. If you press the mitts on the Mitsheet, it is fine. Buddy mirror melee, exactly like we were talking about. Yeah, listen to Nova here. I don't speak tank. So whatever Nova is saying here, follow this. Do you recommend stuff like Haima, Celestial, Intersection, Exaltation to melee's DPS there? I do, but with an asterisk. Is it good to use it? 100%. If you have the mental RAM, you know, like the mental capacity to consistently do that during your pulls, be my guest. Everything is good. Do I advise people to do that every single fucking time? Depends on the player, because you are increasing the mechanical demand and you're not gonna wipe if you just press the buttons I mentioned you. If you save the star, if you save an extra lily, if the tanks are buddy meeting, if you're doing like spot heals with a dual cold or a tetra or an AED from the astro, you know, if you're just doing that and saving something, it's gonna be fine. If you wanna go extra, you can time your Haima to pop 15 seconds later to heal the melees. You can use Exaltation. You can use Aqua Veil for the melees. It's whatever works for you. As long as you use something. As long as you're using something, you don't have to use everything, but you have to use something. So my suggestion, always use something. But if you don't want to use all 6 fucking mechanics from your kit, it is okay. As long as you're using something, you're doing your part. So they too can be angry to die. Yeah. Okay. This is the only dangerous part. Now, for DD. For DD, it is not dangerous healing wise if you press the buttons. And once again here, I want to talk about the difference in Mitsheet. Okay. If you check here, if we go to Light Rampant, right? Let's take FNBG here as an example. If we go check Light Rampant, we have Occasion Prog and a Caracol here, Consultation, Soil, whatever. We have a Bell and we have a Macro. All right. If we check NAUR Roommates, for example, it is not really that different. But do you see how here now you have Spread Low, you have a Zoe here. If you go to FRU Mitty, you have a Holos, you have a Seraph. My suggestion for you, run away from this and pick either NAUR or FRU Mitty. Whatever works your fancy, both are good, both are gonna be safer, okay? Because they're gonna tell you the extra things that you have. My personal preference here, especially as a shield healer, because for regions, it doesn't change much with the exception of the macro, like I said. I don't like using macro mirror. I prefer using it here for the House of Light, okay? And I don't like using Sun Sign, Neutral Sect here. Oh, sorry, I do. I like using here, but you don't have it here for FRU Mitty. FRU Mitty doesn't have it here because they want to waste it on mirror, right? But the only difference here is mostly for the shield healers. Holos here is extremely good because if you notice here in FRU Mitty, they have Spread Low, and FRU Mitty, they have Spread Low. Just Caracol is not safe enough. People will get damaged by the puddles. They're not going to be full HP. And if the healer on that side is not aware, they're not going to heal and people will die. So my suggestion for you, specifically if you are a shield healer and mostly a sage as well, if you are a sage, use Holos here. You're going to use Zoe shield. If you check, I also have Philosophia because Philosophia gives a 20% Curie potency buff. The region itself is really shit in this fight, so don't worry about it. It's only going to be useful for P3 in NAUR and to help with shields in P5. But the Curie potency here is really good because you're going to combo this with Zoe, AoE shield, Holos. Your shields and mids are going to be fucking massive. It's going to be really, really good. So here, look, the puddles are happening. If you are a healer, use stuff on the people baiting the puddles. They take a little bit of damage. So if you're an Astral, use the mid card, use Exaltation, use Intersection, throw a region. If you are a White Mage, Benison, Aqua Veil, region, shield healers. Spam shield heals. This is downtime. You can keep shooting them. And you can keep all of that. You see how much comfy the damage is here? White Mage has a bell. If you're an Astral, you're not going to have this bell here. But you are going to have a Macro Cosmos. And that's why I don't like using Macro on Mirror. Because people are going to be very low here. But after that, Macro is going to pop and everybody's going to be full HP so they can soak this tower here and take the spread and stack without you having to be spamming Helios all the time, you know? If you're a paladin, you can send wings on Hallowed Ray and then use Veil Mirror Mirror. That is good. That is really good. I agree. That is really, really comfy. Requires not using wings on the second bleed. Correct. So as you guys can see, there's a bunch of minor healing and tank things that makes life better. Okay. Like I said, and I will repeat this because we have to. The standard trip path is FNBG. DPS can just follow this. It's not gonna change anything. It's fine. Tanks, you are stuck with it. Unfortunately, you are stuck with it. But you can do those extra things we were talking about, which are compatible, and you can help your melees. You're gonna help your healers. Your healers are gonna love you. As for the healers, you don't have to be stuck with this. Choose whichever of these two you like the most. They have a couple of differences, but those differences are mostly arbitrarily, okay? The only ones that I would suggest you focus specifically for melee are if you are a sage, here for P2, okay? That's pretty much the only big difference I would say. Because everything else, it's mostly the same thing, okay? So pick your poison, right? And have fun. Any questions, specific questions about healers, tanks, mids, anything? Would we be able to do one of the others if both tanks are on the same page? You can, but both tanks need to be on the same page. And unfortunately, okay, Nova wants to speak. Let's.
Hi.
Yeah, it's better Nova talk about tanks.
When we talk about tanks being stuck with Fruit but good, we mostly mean the invuln timings. The invuln timings on Fruit but good are not compatible with the invuln timings that we have on the NAUR or whatever. There's like minor differences. They all work, frankly. So it's really kind of dealer's choice if you're like in a coordinated group with your tank. But the reason that we say tanks are quote unquote stuck with Fruit but good is mostly due to the invulns. The other reason is that Reprisal and the party mitt aren't nearly as important to use on very specific mechanics than when it comes to like healer stuff. There's a lot more specifics because healers have simply more tools. There are things that you can do as a tank that are not on this Mitsheet that are more comfy than this Mitsheet. But it kind of comes down to that's something that you need to think about as like a tank with your group. If you see yourself getting incredibly low, like for me, I play Paladin mostly. And so Paladin and Warrior have a little bit more freedom when it comes to their mitigation than when we talk about Dark Knight and Warrior. Not Dark Knight Warrior, Dark Knight and Gunbreaker because of the shield and because of the heal. So you can kind of use it in two different ways. And it also just lasts longer due to the shield duration. So there's like, there are those kind of added benefits that you can do and different, ways you can approach it. But the Fruit but good, like part tank mitt is fine. There's not necessarily any other problem with it. The quote unquote stuck part comes from the invuln timings.
Perfect.
And just as like an addition, when anybody puts together a mitt plan, and this is not going to be just for this fight, this is for any fight, they put the mitt plan together with the thought of the lowest common denominator. They basically need to make sure that the mitt plan works for every single composition, whether you have an Astro who has extra mitt or a white mage, or you have, a scholar versus a sage, or whether or not you have a dismantle or you have magic barrier from red mage. All of these things are like things that you can look at in your party, and if you see your like red mage or your machinist using dismantle or magic barrier on a mechanic, that allows you the flexibility to move other mitigation elsewhere. Do that with communication, of course, but those are the types of things that Mitsheets don't take into account whatsoever. They only take into account the minimum amount of mitt that you will ever have, regardless of the team composition. So that's why, like, I will keep saying, and every single one of our helpers are going to keep saying, that these Mitsheets aren't gospel, they're a guideline. what works for you and what you're comfortable with may be wildly different than what Heya is comfortable with or what someone else is comfortable with. So that's like something I really,
Mm-hmm.
really want to get across, because just,
Yes.
little anecdotally, it's a little bit of a frustration point for a lot of people that Mitsheets are seen as this like book of truth. It's not. A good player is going to be able to, use that Mitsheet and then adapt it to their own needs, and then also adapt it to each different party's needs. Again, thinking about those differences in composition.
I can give a very specific example that you guys are gonna essentially the most complex. Yes, I can give you a very specific example that you guys will understand because it's on P1. So let me get here now roommates, for example. If we're talking about Burnished Glory 4 and Burnished Glory 2, if you pay attention here, the Astral has the macro for Burnished Glory 2 here. If we check the FRU Meaty, we have macro either for Burnished Glory 1 or Burnished Glory 2. And if we check FNBG here, you have macro specifically for Burnished Glory 1. When I play Astral in this fight, I use this in a bunch of different ways depending on the party. Let me give you an example. The most foolproof way I like using macro, and once again, this is not the Bible, this is just what I personally think that saves some parties, is if I notice that my shield healer is less mechanically good, if you know what I mean, and we keep getting like party mates missing from the fizz range, for example, Foth is gonna absolutely fucking wreck everyone. So I don't use macro neither for the Burnished 1 and Burnished 2. I use macro when we have 3 seconds left in the Bleed one because it allows me to top the entire party after 2 Foth stacks. Because if the other healer is not good and we are missing mids from the fizz range here, we are gonna die if we don't spam GCD heals. So I change my macro to top people between the 3rd and the 2nd set of Foth. And if the healer is decent, but we're getting very low after the 4th one, and we need to get topped up fast before Burnished Glory 2, instead of manual popping my macro in middle, I just ignore it and it's gonna self-pop to top everyone before Burnished Glory 2. That also means that I'm gonna have to add another GCD healing, like a GCD region for Burnished Glory 2. So as you can see, even if we follow, quote unquote, by the book, these Mitsheets, there are still things we can adapt based on the composition that we have. And that's like why we like, everyone here 100% agrees, and we're gonna keep repeating that all the time. Use the Mitsheets as more of like a suggestion, okay? Because you may be able to save the pool if you learn how your kit works and how the fight works, so you can adapt to your parties. So it really depends. Except for P5. P5, please follow this by the book. Don't try to be funny. Okay? But like overall, you can use this as a suggestion. Okay? Follow the Mitsheet because I'm garbage. Not because, no, you're not garbage. You're Azuna. We need you. Yeah, with the exception of Invones. Yeah.
I think fundamentally, right, as you guys play through this fight and as you get more pulls on it, you're going to kind of like subconsciously start to realize what you're able to do when it comes to healing and when it comes to medication. It's not like, we can give tips, we can give like examples and stuff, but like as you get better, you're just going to kind of pick up on things. You're going to be like, oh, I could do this. And you're going to screw something up and you're going to survive and you're going to go, wow, now I have this tool for this mechanic. That's cool. And so you're going to kind of notice those things, and you're going to start to draw those associations between whether or not, what your co-healer is playing, what your tanks are playing, what your melees are playing, etc. And so you're really just going to kind of start to pick up stuff. Also, another thing that I wanted to mention, those Mitsheets are generally speaking they don't even consider like second wind, right?
True.
They and usually, ideally, in a lot of cases, they're made so that if you miss a feint or addle or reprisal, it won't kill you. Again, this is like these Mitsheets are designed so that they minimize the amount of wipes due to them, right? And that does sometimes mean playing suboptimally, but it always also means that there's the availability for improvement there.
There stop. But yeah, guys, that was it. I hope that was useful for all 13 of you that stayed like the extra time here so we could talk about it, because I wanted to do that in the first one for P1, but I was really bad. I had a little bit of miscommunication there and we couldn't do it. So I'm sorry for that. But I wanted to get that out of the way because it's really important to talk about that so you guys don't like suffer having more damage than you should be taking in a fight, you know? We've recorded and saving this. Yes! It is being streamed. It's on Twitch. We're gonna post later on about that, and I'm gonna ask a friend of mine to upload that back to my YouTube channel, so it's saved there. And a little bit of an ad of myself here. Go check my channel. There's some guides there, some tips and tricks for some fights. I'm currently redoing the top guides with 3D animations and a more light-hearted, funny way of explaining stuff. A lot of people are liking that. But yeah. Hopefully I get to do through one day after I'm done with top. But yeah, guys, it's all gonna be saved. Don't worry. So thank you all. Hope you have a good night. If Nova wants to say something else, it's free to you, but I think I said what I had to say. So.
I'm good, bro. I did my exit like 30 minutes ago. I'm chilling.
GG's. Right. Thank you. Have a good one, gamers. Good luck on your prog. And I'll see you guys again, probably in IPF during the week, or most likely next Friday when we start talking about T3. Have a good one, gamers. Bye-bye.